I've been focusing on video games that work out this body and haven't really done any of them that focuses on my mind. Well, that ends today because I am going to play and review Professor Rubik's Brain Fitness for the Nintendo Switch, Xbox, and so much more. For this review, I'm going to be playing the PC version of the game. Let's rock with that intro.
For self-improvement, crafts, and fitness games, go ahead and turn on YouTube and watch Jack.
As always, let me give you a little bit of background information about my experience with these types of games. As a kid, these games were the cream of the crop. You had all these games like Brain Age, Big Brain Academy for the Wii, and just so many of these, mind-expanding, learning type games. And I played a ton of them, and they made me feel like I was getting more intelligent, expanding my mind. Then reports started coming out that saying that the results of playing brain games are not that well known. They're inconclusive. You get better at playing, the specific brain game you're trying to do, but it doesn't really carry out to the other aspects of your life. With those reports and, the website Lumosity basically taking control of the market, being advertised in every YouTube video, these games started declining in popularity. We were at the point where the latest Nintendo brain training games aren't even released here in North America, which sucks because I really liked the math one from the 3DS. That one was fun. While the consensus is that they may or may not help your brain, they are still incredibly fun for me and a lot of others. Thankfully, developer Magic Pockets is trying to fill that void with Professor Rubik's Brain Fitness. Does it serve the scratch that I'm itching and leaving for brain games? Or am I left wanting more? I played the game for 30 days to find out. When you boot up the game, you'll be introduced to Professor Rubik, a younger digital stand-up for Erno Rubik. Above him is the classic invention, the Rubik's Cube. The game then gets into the concept that, you will use the idea of the Rubik Cube to expand your brain in math, organization, memory, and so many more subjects. I have to say, the way that they present this concept is pretty genius. Having an inventor there and, bringing up the fact that these speedcubers need the practice and the training to be at the top of their game. It's just a great way to kind of frame this type of game. It would be cool to maybe show some of them like playing this game and, just kind of bring home the idea that, hey, speedcubers use this, they're intelligent, you're going to be intelligent too, just like them. Saying how much it helps them solve the puzzles faster, all this other stuff to kind of like home in that this game is powerful. But still, the presentation is excellent, and it's just such a great way to frame this game. I like it even more than like the Brain Ages, what they try to do. With the opening cutscene over, you are presented with the main menu. You get your choice of doing some of the training games or relaxing to some free play puzzles. If you hit training, you'll be brought to a new menu that shows the calendar to keep track of your streaks, and there's more options. The daily training will bring you to a section screen to choose what type of game you want to practice, for the day. The evaluation, which is the key part of the game, will set you up with a random set of exercises to complete. Afterward, you will get a score showing how well you did. You can only do an evaluation once per day. Doing so will mark that calendar off, and then you begin to rack up, your streak. A profile is to adjust the usual information, such as, what's your username and the other important stuff. Lastly is the gallery, which shows what you unlock. Unlockables come in the form of images and paragraphs giving the history of Erno Rubik and his accomplishments. It's a fantastic way to keep you motivated and engaged in the game, to keep doing the puzzles, and it's also a great way to kind of illustrate this man's interesting life. After about 30 days, I unlocked only half of, the unlockables, so it does take some time to get them all. Probably, I have to throw out a number, 90 days will do it. The main focus of the brain games such as these are the exercises, and this game has some absolutely great ones. The games are broken down into categories such as agility, letters, numbers, and so on and so forth. There are 22 mini games in the game. When you pull up the game in the menu, you will see, the instructions on that left hand. You can read that paragraph if you want, and then you can go and click on it and complete the brain game. After completing the evaluation for the day, Professor Rubik will show up in the training menu and highlight the mini games to complete to improve your score there. And then so you guys know what you're getting, I'm going to run down each and every mini game. Count the CUBIES will drop down many blocks at once, and you have to count them as fast as you can. The game is made more complex by forcing you to, subtract or add or multiply different colors, and it can become quite a challenge to kind of do it as fast as you can. Flash Compare will drop down 2 or 4 sets of blocks, and then you have to see which has more or less of a specific color or overall blocks or other different statistics. Rapid Recall will drop down some colored CUBIES on the floor, and you have to keep track of what color dropped when the questions get answered. It gets super complicated when like 6 cubes are dropped, and you have to remember which color was like the second or which one was the most often, and you forgot which question was first because they keep asking all these. It just gets a lot. It's a lot of memory. Exploding Cube will have a cube highlighted in a Rubik's Cube and then blast that sucker off. Your job is to select on the ground which one was highlighted. It's made much harder when you have to keep track of like 2 cubes at a time, and you have to figure out which one's the red, which one's the blue. Sometimes you get them switched in your head, and sometimes the cubes also end up on top of each other, making it impossible to click the correct cube. But that only really happened to me like twice in 30 days. Rolling Cube will have a section highlighted, and you have to pay attention as it like rolls around on the ground, shifting around. It's easy until you have to keep track of 2 sides, and then that just messes me up as always. Pair Compare will flash up many mathematical expressions, and you have to choose the 2 that will have the same results. This is another one that I had a hard time doing fast enough. I am someone that needs like a calculator or needs like a piece of paper to kind of do the math. Speaking of calculator, CALCUBATOR, that's such a hard one to say. CALCUBATOR will show up 2 cubes and a number. You have to figure out which cube has a combination that can equate the number being displayed. It's probably my favorite math game since it only gives me 2 choices. Even if I guess, there's a 50% chance of being right. I love this one. This one always is a fun one. Sliding letters will have a bunch of cubes with numbers and letters move across the screen. Your job is to ignore the numbers and focus on the letters that are sliding across. And then those letters will spell out a word. Select the correct word and you get the points right. This game is a pain since the letters spin around, making it nearly impossible to differentiate between an W and an M. If you miss the other letters and that's all you got, then you might as well just take the wrong answer right then. Cubed words will have you choose which cube has all the letters to spell out a word. It's a standard mode in most of these like Boggle games, so it's one you're probably already going to be familiar if you already purchased like a Boggle game before. Tricky rotation will display a cube in the middle of like the screen, and you have to choose the correct result. There's always a trick answer, and I always pick the wrong one, so it's a tough one. Racing CUBIE is one of my favorites in the game. A cube falls from the sky and you have to like get it to the finishing square as fast as possible. The trick is that the keyboard layout switches each time. So one moment, up is up and up will then switch to being down, and then down will be left, and so on and so forth. So it kind of switches around. Fit the shape is like the TV show Hole in the Wall, where there's like a wall that's moving slowly and you have to kind of like fit your body to make it fit with the shape. This is one that I absolutely was terrible at. I just kind of ignored it, and I only did it when it popped up in the evaluation. Print the cube will display a color scheme on the floor, and you have to rotate the cube in order to match it. The equalizer is another math exercise that will have you enter a number or operand to make two expressions, an equation or an equality, or whatever it tells you to do, depending, on what it says. Memory maze is my absolute favorite exercise in the game. It'll bring up a board of cubes and then highlight some of the areas as yellow. Your job is to navigate around the yellow and get to the goal. It's incredibly tough at times, but it's entertaining to see like how your brain can start recognizing the pattern and the workflow. It's just some really great stuff. Colors and shapes will have you compare the color and shape, believe it or not, of one side of the cube to the other side of the cube. Not really my favorite one, to be honest, just kind of a boring game. Anagrammer will display two words and you have to find the anagrams. Another exercise with too limited of options, making you repeat the same question over and over. What's in the box will display 3 boxes and have cubes fall from the sky into them. Your job is to memorize, what cube and how many cubes went inside what box. Mindfold will rotate a 3D cube and show you a 2D layout at the same time. Your job is to decide if they are the same one or not. Drop Fit will have you drop a shape onto another shape and to see if there's any overlaps. If there are overlaps, then you lose. This is another one of my favorites, and it helps quick tests like spatialization, which is excellent for my gamer boy needs. Step by step is Simon, except instead of lights, you're rotating a cube. Each round you get another step added, and if you get it wrong, then you have to restart from the beginning. Lastly, BREAKIN shapes will have you remove cubes to fit the shape they tell you to make. This game has probably the most limited possible options, so once you know how to make the shape once, you can do it at any time. Basically just win the game easily. Those are all the games inside of this one. There are maybe 2 or 3 duds out of 22, which is super impressive, especially for these types of brain training games. If you don't want to play these, then you can head back to free play mode. That's probably where I spend most of my time. That mode contains puzzle games such as 248, Grindstone, and kind of a Puyo Puyo type game. There is multiplayer support, so up to 4 people can play at the same time. My girlfriend wasn't really interested in this game, so I just played myself the entire time. Don't take that out of context. Overall, the game is an incredibly well-made package with so many exercises and puzzles to play. Initially, I thought this game was going to be kind of bad, to be honest, or a little bare bones, or like kind of shovelware, but no, there's a ton of content in this game, a lot more than a lot of other like kind of brain training games such as these. The game regularly goes on price on Steam for $10, and it's a steal. For $30 though, I would still recommend you get the game if it interests you. It's a fantastic, well-made package that deserves your hard-earned money. I don't know if, playing this game made me any smarter. Probably not. I still feel like the same idiot as before. But it certainly made me happy. So guys, that's it for this long review of Professor Rubik's Brain Fitness. I wanted to review some of the other brain games, including like Brain Age and Lumosity. That website just gets advertised everywhere. Might as well throw my hat in there. So subscribe to my YouTube channel and look forward to those videos coming up. If you have any ideas on challenges you want me to do, then please leave a comment below. I do anything within the realms of self-improvement, including, fitness or learning a skill or improving, relationships, so on and so forth. It's a broad category, but, this challenge doesn't really need a theme, like I just watch my videos for the YouTube algorithm. It doesn't really matter. Follow me on Twitter at TrueJackJank. Lastly, have a fantastic day, everyone. All you guys are just so amazing.